They say, no, this was just a couple low-level dudes. These low-level cats, you know what happened? They got a little excited. They didn't like Trump. They changed an email. Nobody at the top is going to be implicated, especially Obama. He was a low-level attorney? Really? Because we have the FBI's org chart. Organizational chart for the liberals listening. We shorten that up. I know I have to be a little slower with you all. But here's an actual photo with the org chart. So Assistant General Counsel Kevin Kleinsmith, the primary FBI attorney, reported right to the chief of the division in the FBI? All right, so I told you we had some breaking news. Let me just sum this up because sometimes I really enjoy your emails and your feedback and I read them, and it's important to me. The show is for you, folks. It's not for me. It's for you. Like I told you, I've done my thing. I do this for you. I enjoy doing it. But one of the critiques I get, which is a good one, they say, sometimes, Dan, you tell a story and you sometimes it takes you a while to get to the point. Fair enough. And it's because I'm interested in the stories and I like the details is typically the reason why, but that's not an excuse. So let me just put the bottom line up front for this FBI story and what happened on Friday. I wrote it down to make sure we were short and concise because I said it this morning on Fox and Friends. The lead FBI lawyer in the case to spy on Trump, right? Kevin Kleinsmith. He was the lead lawyer, was used by the FBI because they wanted to spy on Trump. Well, what was he used for, this FBI lawyer? They asked him if Carter Page, who was working for the Trump team, was working with another federal agency and basically working with them. Why did they do that? They did that because they knew Carter Page was in contact with Russians, and they wanted to make sure that those contacts weren't at the behest of a government agency. When this FBI lawyer found out that Carter Page, who had worked for the Trump campaign's contacts were with Russians and were in his duties as an official source for the CIA, they lied about it. Get it? Bottom line up front. Lead FBI lawyer says that Carter Page, who they're trying to spy on because they want to spy on the Trump campaign, is not a source for the CIA, when in fact he is, to make it look like his legitimate contacts with Russians that he was helping the country out with to spy, help the CIA out, to make them look nefarious. The deets matter, though, folks. Bottom line up front, but the deets do matter. Because what happened with the media? Well, the answer is nothing happened. They ignored the story almost altogether. National Review. Tobias, I can never say his last name. We love him anyway. We use his stuff. Hoonhout. Forgive me, Tobias, not intentional. My last name's Bongino, so I get it all. Bongino. I'm with you, brother. National Review. The Russia-obsessed media does its best to ignore Kleinsmith, the FBI lawyer's guilty plea. Or soon-to-be guilty plea. Did you hear about this in the media on Friday? This is a huge story. The main FBI lawyer was accused of falsifying evidence to make Carter Page look like a Russian spy. Sounds kind of bad, no? Well, let's go to this great clip from the fantastic Molly Hemingway at The Federalist, who's kind of confused by this too. How the PP hoaxers and now the post office hoaxers who were once the collusion hoaxers, they were obsessed with Russia. Now we have a huge plea and an FBI lawyer central to the case admitting they basically made up the thing about Carter Page being a Russian spy. Basically, they made it up and you don't hear anything about it. Isn't that just weird? Listen to Molly Hemingway sum this up.
It is so rare for anyone affiliated with the FBI to actually be held accountable for something like this. So it really speaks to how serious of a problem it was and how much they had the goods on him. And, when every little thing was dripped out by the media for years, claiming that there was this collusion between the Trump administration and Russia, now that we actually have our first example here of criminal wrongdoing, the media are kind of downplaying it and acting like it's not a big deal. And that's understandable because they were implicated in this as well. In fact, they were some of the worst offenders in perpetrating this collusion hoax on the American people. The last thing that they want is for anyone to be held accountable. And they're trying to make sure that this story goes away as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Molly. Summed it up pretty well there. Why does the media that was obsessed with the PP hoax and collusion for 3 years, obsessed? Moscow Mato on MSNBC spoke about it every night. The New York Times and Washington Post, fake headlines everywhere. They were once obsessed with this story. Now, all of a sudden, you have actual criminal charges against the people involved for faking the story. And all of a sudden, the media doesn't care one bit Amazing how that happens. Not only do they not care, there is a massive misinformation campaign out there, massive misinformation campaign from the actual people involved in the case that we're going to correct right now, because that's what we do on this show. Remember Andrew Weissman? They call it the Mueller probe. Remember Bob Mueller, who was supposedly looking into collusion? It wasn't really the Mueller probe. It was really the Weissman probe. Remember discredited hack, loser, former prosecutor Andrew Weissman? Yeah, that guy. The guy who's been a humiliating disgrace to the Justice Department repeatedly through his Enron activities when he was prosecuting that case, and all the other times he's been wrecked by judges for all the nonsense he's tried to pull in courts. Yes, that was the guy they picked to run the Mueller probe. It's really the Weissman probe. Weissman's out there now, unbelievably, one of the dumbest men in America. Somehow he's a lawyer. He should really turn in his JD. Weissman is now tweeting things about the case because he's terrified. Because remember, he's going to be implicated in this whole thing. He's the lead Mueller probe. Implicated in what? For investigating Trump for a collusion hoax he knew was fake from the start. Weissman's panicked. Weissman doesn't like it that this FBI lawyer is going to plead guilty to this charge. He hates it. So Weissman is knowingly tweeting out misinformation. Read this one. So there's only one of two options here from Weissman. This is from his Twitter account, @aweissman_. Weissman's either one of the dumbest human beings in America or he's a liar. It's probably a little bit of both. Andrew Weissman, quote, Kleinsmith is charged with adding the words not a source to an email about Carter Page. But nowhere does the charge say that this is false, i.e. that Page was a source for the CIA. Really? So I'll keep this up a second. So just to be clear, Weissman, this brilliant lawyer, Mueller, and believe me, I'm using the term brilliant loosely, is saying that nowhere does it say that Carter Page was a source for the CIA and we're all being misled. He says, without that, how is the addition materially false? Compare with Barr's materiality stand for Flynn. So just to be clear, this is Mueller's chief lieutenant, Andrew Weissman, this brilliant lawyer. He's saying, well, the fact that the FBI lawyer is about to plead guilty to lying about the fact that Carter Page was in fact the source for the CIA. He was claiming he was not a source to make it look like Page's contacts with the Russians at the behest of the CIA were Carter Page acting on behalf of the Russians, not the CIA, making him look like a Russian hack. Did he not read the IG report, Weissman? It doesn't say anywhere that Carter Page was the source for the CIA. Big hat tip, Undercover Huber on Parler and Twitter. Great account. Here's screenshots from the actual IG report. When we asked the liaison about the attorney's interpretation of the liaison's email, the liaison told us that her email stated just the opposite. Namely, that Page was a U.S. person who had provided direct reporting to the other U.S. government agency in the past. In other words, Joe, let me translate that for you. Mm-hmm. The inspector general who investigated this saw an actual correspondence from the CIA to the FBI saying, yes, Carter Page was in fact the source. Weissman can't find that, I guess. I don't know if he can't read, he's too stupid, or if he's just a discredited hack, loser, liar, which is what he really is. It doesn't say anywhere Page was a source? You mean like outside of the IG report? Even worse, the FBI lawyer did get that email that Page was a source for the CIA. Here's IG report number 2. However, the OGC attorney altered the liaison. They're talking about Kleinsmith. Altered the email by inserting the words not a source into it, thus making it appear that the liaison had said that Page was not a source. Again, Andrew Weissman either can't read, is a dunce, or is a really unbelievably malfeasant liar, which he is. He's a discredited loser. He's read the IG report. He knows he's lying. He's just trying to confuse you because he's terrified himself of his own corruption. What a disgusting person. Now, let me just correct another piece of information here. Again, hat tip our friend Undercover Huber and others, Sean Davis and others who've done some great work on this at the Federalist. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Kleinsmith, who's about to plead guilty to doctoring an email to make Carter Page look like he wasn't a source from the CIA when he was, he's not a low-level attorney. Now, Why would the media want you to believe disingenuously that he was a low-level attorney? Because they want you to believe that this scandal wasn't at the highest levels of the FBI at the behest of the Obama administration to spy on Trump. So what's the catch here? Here's the trick, Joe. They say, no, this was just a couple low-level dudes. These low-level cats, you know what happened? They got a little excited. They didn't like Trump. They changed an email. Nobody at the top is going to be implicated, especially Obama. He was a low-level attorney? Really? Because we have the FBI's org chart. You know, organizational chart for the liberals listening. We shorten that up. I know I have to be a little slower with you all. But here's an actual photo of the org chart. Oh, so Assistant General Counsel Kevin Kleinsmith, the primary FBI attorney, reported right to the chief of the division in the FBI? Wow. That's weird, Joe. Low level. That's like saying Joe's a low-level producer. He's the only producer on the audio side. There is no low-level producer. There's the org chart right there. There it is. There's the org chart, the FBI org chart. Kleinsmith reported right to the top directly. That's what those arrows mean, liberals. I know you have a hard time with boxes and arrows and things like that.